Hi, I'm Vanessa and I'm 30 years old and I am battling Lyme disease. I was bit in 2011 and I had a bite on my arm right here. I still have the scar. And I went to the doctor in 2011 and the doctor just looked at me and said, I've never seen that before. And I can remember that appointment, that moment in time crystal clear as if it was yesterday. Um, and she said, that looks really weird. I've never seen that before. So she said, let's test it for syphilis, which why would I have syphilis on my elbow? But anyways, I had no idea what Lyme disease was. I had never heard of it at that point in my life, and I trusted the doctors, so I just went with it. And it obviously came back negative for syphilis because it wasn't syphilis, it was Lyme disease. And the doctors just kind of said, "Oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you." And so I just went on living my life as normally as I knew how to. And for about 4 years after 4 years after that day, I did have symptoms like extreme fatigue, TMJ issues, headaches every single day where I would have to take like 8 Tylenol a day just to kind of get through the day without pain or with minimal pain. And I had optic neuritis in my left eye. So my left eye, I lost my vision for a couple months in my left eye. And I did my due diligence in going to the doctors for all of these different symptoms. And every single time, the doctors just said, I can't find anything wrong with you. And they just kept kind of sending me home with no answers. And so I was kind of, for a good 4 years, kind of going in and out of the system of Western medicine, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, trusting the doctors, and just kind of going with it until 2015. The symptoms became so acute that I was no longer functional. So I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't even walk. The symptoms were so bad. It started in my feet. It was tingling and numbness, and it traveled up to my knees, and then it traveled up to my abdomen, and then just right under my breasts. And I wasn't really able to walk because I couldn't feel my legs. And that's when we took it as seriously as we could, and we went to 3 different hospitals and just saw so many different specialists and neurologists, and nobody knew what it was. And they told me it could be Epstein-Barr. They told me it could be a virus in my blood. One doctor told me it could be blood cancer. It was just everything but Lyme disease. And so I had an MRI done, and it came back with over 20 lesions in my brain and over 20 lesions in my cervical spine. And on paper, that looks like, in Western medical, it looks like the typical case of MS in a really aggressive form. So I did accept that diagnosis in 2015 for a short time, just because I was so desperate to figure out what was wrong with me. So to hear that there was a name for what I was going through, I just felt some peace with that, even though MS is a um, very hard diagnosis to hear for anybody, because essentially it just means that you will become debilitated in some way, shape, or form, depending on where your lesions are in your spine and in your brain. It's a very sad disease. Um, Anyways, so I eventually, after that, I ended up kind of fighting them to give me some Lyme disease tests because I didn't feel intuitively that that was the right diagnosis. And my mother had reminded me about that bite or that rash that I had in 2011, and it didn't feel right. So we got testing done, and the testing came back positive for Lyme disease. And yeah, from there, that's when I decided to kind of leave Western medicine and the MS diagnosis, and I didn't accept the MS treatment, which is a drug that you have to be on that doesn't actually treat the cause of the disease. It's just kind of like a band-aid. And if you decide to go that way, you will end up debilitated. Um, so I decided to just keep fighting for myself and advocating for myself, and I ended up in the hands of an amazing Lyme doctor that practices out of Seattle, Washington, and I'm getting better. It's not been easy. It's been quite the journey to get here. It's been extremely, extremely, extremely dark. So I completely empathize to everyone out there going through this. I just want to let you know that I was in a place where I didn't want to live anymore, and I didn't think that there was any way out because I tried so many different things where I felt better for a little bit and then I went back down. Finally, after 5 years, I'm coming out of it, and I'm proof that you can get better if you keep fighting and just keep the hope and keep the faith, and with support from friends and family and with doctors who understand the disease and who believe you when you tell them what you're experiencing. You can get better. And I'm not there yet. I'm not 100% yet. I think I still have quite a ways to go. But I wouldn't have been able to make this video like just a few short months ago, just because my cognition wouldn't allow me to. I still do struggle cognitively. I'm sure you can kind of tell I might be tripping up on my words a little bit, but for the most part, I'm doing really well. So yeah, I am open to share in a separate video, just because this one is already 6 minutes long. I'm open to sharing things that worked for me, things that didn't work for me, and just tips on how to navigate the complexity of this insanely complex illness. And I mean, with a compromised brain, to kind of go through to navigate is like next to impossible. But yeah, so I mean, I have like 5 years of experience of literally healing. It's a full-time job. I do nothing but heal from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. And while I'm sleeping, I'm healing. Like, it's intense. But with a disease like this, you have to put in a lot of work. So yeah, so I'm excited to answer any questions that anybody has for me at any single time. If anybody needs support, emotional support, I'm there. When I'm through, when I get well, I know for a fact that I'm going to be advocating and working for people with Lyme disease and help. I want to help support people who need financial support, and I want to help support people who need the emotional support, because it's those two things. If you don't have those two things, it's very hard to make it. So it just lights a fire under my butt to get myself well so that I can help others who need it.